Making a lot of coins in Ultimate Team is easy, especially on the surface. All you need to do is buy and sell players. But there are times where it becomes very difficult to sell players. And in this video, we're going to be going through a few strategies that you can use so that you can always make the most. But before we do get into the video, if you want to push ahead without needing to grind Ultimate Team, then there is no better place than U4GM. U4GM offers cheap, fast and reliable EAFC coins. There is a link in the description down below, and if you use code Fanatic, you'll also be able to get yourself a 5% discount. Thank you U4GM for sponsoring today's video. There doesn't seem like there's much that you can do when it comes to selling players. All you can do is select the price you want to sell them for and list them. From there, it's out of your control as you're waiting for someone else to come across your player and decide to buy them. Except that's not entirely true. There are quite a few things that you can do depending on your situation. So firstly, and this is a way to maximize coins, is that you don't always need to be the cheapest. I see this a lot, especially for those going through bulk bidding or sniping methods, where they will find the player's lowest buy now and then take a couple hundred coins away to either use that as the bidding price or their buy-in price. And then once they do finally get those deals, they'll list them at the exact price that they researched for earlier. But in a lot of cases, you can increase this. You can list it for a few hundred coins more. This does depend on how many players are currently listed. For example, if you were to search the lowest buy now and you found that there was 2 pages, but that very first player on that first page was expiring within 50 minutes, it's extremely likely that at that price range, they're all going to sell way before they even get close to expiring. You may find that you can increase the buy now slightly to find players that are expiring within the next 10 or 15 minutes, and that is actually the price in which you can list them at. With this, you may not be able to sell as many within the very first hour, but with this, you will be able to make a lot more profit per trade, meaning for you to reach your profit goals, you will not need to make as many trades. The second thing that you can do is hold some of your cards back. There are certain players, if you trade with and continuously keep on getting deals of the exact same card, that you can eventually list too many at the exact same time. This causes you to flood the market. It also looks very suspicious, especially if we're dealing with players which are somewhat rare on the market, where there are only a few pages worth and they're all listed at the exact same price, all expiring within the exact same time. So in some situations, it's a good idea if you have multiple of the exact same card and it's not anything such as a bulk bidding method, where you will hold some of those players back. If you manage to buy 10 informs for the exact same player, you may list 1 or 2 of them, wait for them to sell before you list anything else. That way you can maximize your coins on those trades whilst also holding back supply. So therefore you can also increase player prices by doing this, yet again, depending on the player, and they will maintain a stable price whilst you continuously make profit out of every single one of your trades. The third tip is to make sure that you list your players overnight. Most people forget to do this, and it's why you should do this. Because as most people forget, there becomes a drop in supply during this time period. As there's a drop in supply of players listed on the market, there's also a slight increase yet again for some players, normally special cards, any type of team of the weeks, any type of promos, and any type of icons or heroes. You can also see this affect bronze and silver players as well. Not so much gold players, normally because there's already a huge supply of them. If you are someone who's struggling to sell a player during the daytime, you could wait until late afternoon, where you'll list that player for 12 hours overnight, and then hopefully by the time you wake up the following morning, that player will have sold. You may even be able to find that you can increase their price slightly just to maximize coins here. Yet again, it does all depend on how much you actually list them for, because if they're still way above market value, no one's going to buy them no matter the time. And number 4, you can change various aspects of the card. When I say various aspects, I actually mean this year, just the chemistry style. Used to be able to change positions on players, and that would open up a brand new market. In a lot of cases, especially if you were dealing with a popular position change, a player could increase in value by a few thousand coins. This was back when you can change center defensive mids to center mids. Nowadays in EAFC 24, it really does not matter. You can't change positions the way that we used to. but you still can change chemistry styles. And by changing the chemistry style will depend on their overall price. So if you bought a player and all of a sudden there becomes an increase in the amount of people trying to sell that player and you're really struggling to make coins with them, you can apply a chemistry style, and it's likely you have loads for free anyway from the objectives that you've completed and the amount of packs that you open, that you're able to use a chemistry style that you don't normally use, apply that to the player, list that player, and be able to sell them a lot quicker. And number 5, you can price fix players. Now, this is contradictory to what we said earlier. This is where your judgment comes in. I said earlier, as points number 2, you can overlist the exact same card, so it's worth holding some back. That way you're able to keep a stable price. But in some very rare occasions, you can buy up the whole supply for one particular type of card and list that onto the market. With this, the risk is extremely high. You're going to need a lot of coins, but if done correctly, it can be a very big payout. This type of method is not going to work with any card where there is continuous supply, so bronze, silver, or even gold players. You won't be able to use icons and you won't be able to use heroes. You will be able to use Team of the Weeks once they get rare enough, as well as any other promo. That's because they are taken out of packs, and the only way in which supply can be increased is if there are other players who stop playing to come back to Ultimate Team to play for the sole purpose of listing their cards, or if EA did finally add those players back to packs. And quite simply with this, you'll buy up the whole market of those players and then list them all at the exact same price. There is one slight issue with this, and that is as you gradually start to sell each and every single one of them, eventually you'll get to a point where the market controls the price, as you've been able to sell a lot more than what you currently hold. So you may lose coins on those final few players, but hopefully you've had big enough profit margins with those previous players that you're able to go through this. This may also be something where you don't do this solely by yourself, but in fact you are part of a bigger community. Maybe you're part of a Discord server of 100 people and everyone in there buys 1 or 2 of the exact same player. There's also problems with this in that you're now also trusting a full group of strangers that you don't know, who could potentially just undercut and then someone else undercuts and then someone else undercuts, and then suddenly that player is worth nothing, less than what you bought them for. So with this, there is a lot of risk, but I wanted to include it as part of this video because it has been an option that has been used in the past. And number 6, you can relist players individually. This is more for when you have tried to trade with a player, you bought a lot of them, but unfortunately they did not sell. Now, of course, there is an option for you to press right trigger whilst hovering over the players you want to relist within the transfer market, and it will relist each and every single one of them. But the reason I say to relist them all individually and go through each one manually is because when you do the auto relist mechanic, it lists every single player within the exact same second. So when it comes down to expiring, if someone was to search for that player by name because they want to buy one for their team, if they search the market at the exact moment in which your players start to get down to that last 15 seconds, the second that they move to that second page, all players disappear. He skips every single one of them, no matter how many you have, because they are all expiring within the exact same second. Whereas if you were to relist them manually, there will be a couple seconds in between each one. So when someone does search that player by name and find that player on the transfer market, they can go through several pages and there will still be a chance that they'll buy your player. If you don't believe me, it's definitely worth giving it a try. Next time you go for a bulk binner method and none of your players sell, relist them all manually, see what happens, and then after, relist them all individually. Guarantee you will sell more. And finally, at point number 7 and also point number 8, I want to include them both here because they're similar but at the same time opposite. And this also comes down to judgment. There are certain events that will happen where you will need to undercut massively to sell your players, and this happens before major events. But on the other hand, you also need to make the choice to hold on to players before major events. A good example of this is Black Friday. It's going to happen towards the end of November, just like it does every single year. And just like every single year, EA is most likely going to release some type of promo involving packs. There's going to be SBCs, there's going to be objectives, and they're likely going to be timed or have a set limit where only 100,000 packs can be opened. It's always crazy, and there's a lot of people opening packs, and there's a lot of players on the transfer market. This is also the point in which we normally see our first market crash. So if you're holding any rare gold players at this point, no matter who they are, it's likely that they will go down in value. So if you have rare gold players listed on your transfer market and you're just a few days away from Black Friday, it may be worth undercutting the market for the players that you have in order to sell them and pretty much cut your losses whilst you still have a chance, so that you're still able to get some coins back before the major event happens and you lose even more. But at the exact same time, there will also be players which it does not affect. Any previous team of the weeks or any previous promos will not be affected because they are not part of packs. There is no supply for them, no source. So the chance of them going down in price is low. But as also previously mentioned, EA is likely to release a lot of content during this time. Not just packs added to the store, but also content through SBCs, and there's a good chance that it will require you to have players as part of those previous promos. So you may even see an increase in these types of players. This is where you need to make a judgment based on events that are coming up. The thing with EA is that they normally have the exact same calendar every single year with a few slight differences. This makes it extremely easy to understand the Ultimate Team calendar and use that to make educational guesses of what type of players you should sell on or not even trade with, and which types of players should you buy more of or even start to invest in. But anyway, this is how you can sell more players in Ultimate Team whilst also making sure that you can maximize the most amount of coins. If you enjoyed this video, then I'm sure you'll enjoy our next video. That video goes through ways in which you can win more trades. And with both of these videos together, you'll be able to win more trades whilst also maximizing the coins on every single player. You will be unbeatable. So click that and I'll be over there to guide you through absolutely everything. I hope you enjoy.